You know, it's a funny thing. Periodically, I'll have something happen that will reaffirm something else. And in this case, it's actually the thing that I wanted to talk about, that subject of master of circumstances that I wanted to discuss today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Thursday, the 3rd of March of 2022. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That is the Kurt's Religion and Politics page on Facebook, on kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com, on minds.com, M-I-N-D-S. That would be the Kurt's Religion and Politics group in general. Also on Parler and on Gab. And again, I want to talk about this subject of master of circumstances. And again, I have to say, God, to me, showed me something that people believe that technically is correct, but it's not finally so. I'll put it that way. And I'm going to go ahead and go through my notes to give you some idea how this all works in my mind. I'm going to start by saying this. I'm guilty. I fuss and fume over various things that occur in my life. Yet I tell you, I believe there is a God. Am I saying I don't think God is intimately involved in the world He created? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is, and I'm going to make this as a general statement and let you draw from that what you will, I'm not good at faith. In other words, I allow myself to believe what's going on around me is not orchestrated, that God is not in control, and that He's not working in my behalf. Deep down, though, I do believe He's there, and I do believe He's involved with everyday goings-on the planet. Let me express it like this. God is the master of circumstance. I've used a sort of a word picture when I've discussed this idea in past. Imagine someone firing a gun at another person. On the way between the shooter and the target, the projectile turns into a rose. The rose falls to ground, never injuring anybody. Can you believe this happens at times? Well, maybe not exactly like this. Let me give you some other examples. Imagine that a gun jams, or that the flat tire on a car keeps the automobile from being involved in a fatality accident, an accident where there are fatalities. I firmly believe God causes things like this to happen. Maybe the rose picture seems naive, and maybe it is. I don't tend to think so, but I don't think that's how it works in general, but I believe it could. Imagine parting the sea. That considered the idea that there's an intelligent being who pulls strings to make things happen as He sees fit I think every Christian, sometimes my notes get messed up. I think every Christian should be counting at least probable. Personally, I think it's definite, but that's just me. For my part, as I say, I may forget that, but in the depth of my being, I do believe it. Periodically, I gain some recognition of the fact that my complaining is just me kicking against the pricks. I truly do believe God is the master of circumstances. What's your take on that? Okay, I'm done with my notes, and I'm going to go ahead and discuss this a little bit. I have had times when something happened to me, and I thought at the time it occurred it was the worst thing that could have happened. Of course, first of all, that's being overly dramatic. It's not the worst thing that could have happened. But here's the funny part. Then sometime later on, things have occurred that would never have been able to happen had it not been for the earlier thing that happened to me. This is something you need to understand. I believe God uses circumstances to bring us to the place we need to be. I had a company can me, and I admit that we had our disagreements and that I was really long since ready to leave and should have done so long before they did so. When that company did that, it broke my little world for a while. Broke my world. The thing about it is, that company had been underpaying me for almost 10 years. And the company that I went to next did better, but I came to the conclusion they weren't doing good enough. Well, in the course of time, I had another opportunity arise where I got paid more, and that just has continued to improve. Now, that's not to say I've been paid more in everything I've done, but the point is my paychecks are pretty darn good, if you ask me. Had that other company not decided it was time to let me go, I would probably not have stepped out in faith and gone and worked at another company. I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm just not good at faith lots of times. And this sort of thing has happened to me before. I was in the Seattle area and I was trying to figure out what I was doing, and I found the opportunity to get to the Little Rock, Arkansas area where I have a brother. He's in Cabot now, but he was in Little Rock at the time. Cabot's not too far away, by the way. It's only 20-30 minutes. But anyway, I came here, and I'll just tell you that I didn't think things were going to work out all that well for me. And I thought, too, that I wanted to go to the Kansas City area where I had another brother, and he was in a position where at the time he did not feel like that was a good idea. So we worked it out, and I came down to the Little Rock area. And again, I'm not saying the best things ever have happened to me, because I believe that a lot of things that I look at and go, that wasn't a good thing, was, so really I suppose you could say the best things that could have happened did happen, but they sure didn't seem like it a lot of times at the time. And I still deal with that today. Like I say, I growl about things all the time. Why is this person going 2 miles an hour? This person is going to make me late picking up my son, or the road repairs that they're doing are going to make me late picking up my son, or whatever it happens to be. I truly believe that God is daily, hourly, minute by the second, involved intimately in the activities surrounding man. Now, a person said, it happened to have been Dennis Prager, who I like Dennis pretty well, but Dennis basically said, if God made everything work like you wanted it to work, you'd be an automaton, a robot. And I thought to myself, Dennis, I'm sure it's not all supposed to work like you want it to work. I'm just not sure the reason that that's the case is what you think. I think what happens is what you think is good, what you think you need, what you think is the best thing for you, God realizes it's not. It's not the best thing for you. You've come to some conclusions about what you think good things are, and God's going, nope, kid. Nope, that's not what you think it is. You're not getting what you think it is. I've always thought I'd love to be wealthy. God has not made that plan for me. Now, I'm not saying it'll never happen. I don't know. I don't know what God will do with that. But my point is this. If it's not to be wealthy, if I'm not supposed to be that thing, hey, guess what? It's got to be okay. In fact, it's got to be more than okay. I believe it is in the script, and it doesn't mean I'm still doing what I would do, and God knows what I'll do. And I believe He puts circumstances and situations and roadblocks and different doors and keys and so forth in my hand to make it so that I go in the directions that He wants me to go. And it does force me into those directions, you can argue, but I have no idea about that, and I prove that daily by complaining. Right? I prove that every day by complaining about it. So that's the thing that I would say to just about anybody who had a problem with this. You may not believe there's a God. I do. You may not believe that God is intimately involved in your life. I do. And I believe that when I say resin, frazzin, stupid, nasty, whatever, this and that, God is looking down and shaking His head. Well, He's not shaking His head, because as my brother pointed out years ago, a thing that I had to come to understand, and I sort of knew it already, but he put it in pretty good words, and I think he got it from somebody else, what he said. But he said, yeah, you know what the deal is? God is not surprised. He doesn't look down at you and see what you're doing and go, wow, didn't think Kurt would ever do that. He doesn't do that. That's not how that works. Okay, so obviously the point is, I believe that if you invest your faith, your time, your effort in what God has for you, things will work for the best, even if you don't realize how that's going to happen. All right, I need to go ahead and wrap things up. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Thursday, the 3rd of March of 2022. that day right coming up on the weekends. That means tomorrow will be Friday, that beginning of the Sabbath at sundown, the 4th of March of 2022. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That is the Kurt's Religion and Politics page on Facebook, on Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com, on Minds, MINDS.com, the Kurt's Religion and Politics group there, on Parler, on Gab, and anywhere else you might be catching me. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. I would love it if you gave me a Rumble. I would also not mind if you gave me a plus. You can obviously give me a minus if you want to show that you're not happy with my content. That's totally fine. You're obviously totally acceptable to do that. You can give me whatever feedback you can and feel is appropriate on whatever platform you see me. Thumbs down, thumbs up, like, dislike, plus, minus, Rumble. You can comment on my content, and I will do my best to read whatever you do in terms of comment. If I feel it's reasonable, I'll reply or respond in some way. I will try and let you know by giving you a thumbs up, thumbs down, like, dislike, whatever it happens to be. If I see that content, the comment that you put out there as that particular thing, and I will delete any comments that I believe are advertising or some other malicious activity on the parts of folks putting bad comments on my stuff. Some platforms do a little bit of that for me, but I'll catch it if they don't, and you will go away, just so you know. Subject for today has been Master of Circumstances. Tomorrow we're going to talk about an interesting subject. I've just titled my piece for tomorrow, Carbon Dioxide. Hope you're doing well today. Hope everything is going well for you. Hope this week has been going along nicely for you. It's been going okay for me. Not perfect, but it goes as I think God has for things to work. And hopefully I will see you again on Friday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This podcast was created on Thursday, the 3rd of March of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that, and you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.